Channel 2 News, and today we're going to talk about an article written by Karen Benjamin Guzzo of Bowling Green State University, which talks about cohabitation. Cohabitation, if you didn't know, is a state of living together and having a sexual relationship while not being married. More and more young adults these days are tending to cohabit, and although they are delaying getting married, most of them are still having romantic relationships. Marriage is becoming less a part of the cohabitation process, while cohabiting is becoming more strongly linked to marriage, which means more and more people are cohabiting without the intent of getting married, but most marriages these days are a result of cohabiting. The study found that women ages 19 to 24 who have cohabited has increased by 30% between 1980 and 2010. Although the outcome of cohabiting can either end in marriage or not, the outcome is often affected by the shifts in socioeconomic status and demographic backgrounds. Marriages preceded by cohabiting in 1980 to 1984 was about 41%. In 1990 to 1994, it jumped up to 56%. Recently, in 2005 to 2009, it has reached 66%, meaning it's continued to grow over the years. Although it wasn't acceptable before, it's becoming more and more normal for our generation to live with your spouse before getting married. It often shows how your marriage might or might not end up, and more people are continuing to do it. And now we're off to Alexa with a related study.
And we're back. I'm Alexa DeMatthews, and the article we're going to be discussing today is the Pre-Engagement Cohabitation Effect by Stanley Rhodes Markman from the University of Denver. The results of cohabitation before marriage results in a lower marital satisfaction, dedication, and confidence between the two people who reside inside of it. Cohabiting is also found to have more negative communication and a greater potential for divorce compared to those who cohabited only after engagement or waited until marriage altogether. In the United States, cohabiting between young couples has become the new norm that most people tend to follow now. To officially define the cohabitation effect, it is the premarital cohabitation risk factor for subsequent divorce and a lower marriage quality. There's something about cohabitation that leads to a higher marital instability and lower marital qualities. Financial investments, pregnancy, and social pressure can also increase people to start cohabiting together even if they aren't planning on it. This also may lead to unwanted marriages. There has said to be no significant differences between those who waited until after marriage to live together and those who waited until after engagement. It has been shown that couples who cohabit together have a lower sexual satisfaction rate rather than those who are married. Also, deciding on marriage when cohabiting will also lead for a greater chance of divorce or problems within your marriage later on. Now let's take it to Savannah, who's in the field conducting some interviews about these latest points.
Feel about living with your partner before marriage?
I feel it's really good because you get to understand each other, how you guys flow together, and you guys can figure out your tweaks before actually committing.
Mm-hmm. And do you think cohabiting can have either a positive or negative effect on a relationship, and how?
I feel like it could be both at the same time. Positive, it would be you guys get to spend time with each other, really get to know each other, and just have a great time. But negatively, you could also be having too much time together and you guys get on each other's nerves over the littlest things.
Right. Have you ever, or do you plan on cohabiting in the future? Why or why not?
I do plan on cohabiting with my future spouse. I feel like for marriage, in my personal opinion, for marriage you have to live under the same roof.
And do you think cohabiting before marriage can affect the length or success of a marriage? In what ways?
Yes, I do. I feel like if you spend time living together before marriage, as I said before, you get to understand your guys' flow and work out the tweaks before it gets serious. I do agree with cohabiting with your future spouse. For our generation, I feel like it's becoming more popular, and future generations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. How do you feel about living with your partner before marriage?
It's kind of needed because I want to know what she's like before I marry her and stay with her for the rest of my life.
Do you think cohabiting can have either a positive or negative effect on a relationship? How?
It can be both, because it can either work out for the both of you, or it can go really bad and you guys end up not liking each other, or whatever your reasons may be.
Have you ever or do you ever plan on cohabiting? Why or why not?
Yeah, I do, because I'd like to get married. And I do plan on living with them because I want to know if she cleans and if she cooks, because I don't. But like stuff like that. But I want to know how she lives, and I don't want to live with a slob, so.
Do you think cohabiting before marriage can affect the length or success of a marriage? In what ways?
Yes, it can, because if you don't live with them before getting married, and then you guys just move in together, then you guys may not like living together, and you end up getting a divorce, which then costs money and moving issues and all that stuff. If you do live with each other before you get married, then you know for a fact, like, yeah, I want to live with this person for the rest of my life.
All right, excellent.
How do you feel about living with your partner before marriage?
I feel that that's probably the best thing to do. When you're dating a person, you know them outside of their comfort zone, basically. When you're alone and you're at home, that's when you're the realest part of you. So when you live with somebody, you're seeing everything about them that you never knew before. And you're seeing things you never saw before. So.
Do you think cohabiting can have either a positive or negative effect on a relationship? How?
Cohabiting is most likely going to have a positive effect on the relationship. I see it being positive regardless, because when you're living with that person, even if it doesn't work out, you're realizing that before you engage in anything too serious. You're seeing all the bad habits that you don't like. You're seeing all the ways that you don't work before you end up committing into a marriage and seeing all that when you're already in the marriage and would have to end that in divorce. So it's just helping prevent things from getting worse in the future.
Have you ever or do you plan on cohabiting? Why or why not?
I do plan on cohabiting. It's something I feel is really essential for everybody, and knowing myself best, I know it's going to be the best thing for me. It's going to allow me to see everything I'll need to see about the person I may or may not want to be with for quote-unquote the rest of my life. So
Okay. Do you think cohabiting before marriage can affect the length or success of a marriage? In what ways?
I do think it'll affect the length and success of a marriage. Cohabiting, it allows you to see every single aspect of a person. If you're comfortable living with someone, if you're comfortable seeing the routine they have and being a part of that routine, then it's only going to benefit you more and make you a stronger couple later on in your marriage, And I don't know, it's something essential for people. You need that. If you go straight into it and you didn't have that, I feel like it'll be harder for you to adjust to each other, and it could end up making things more problematic.
How do you feel about living with your partner before marriage?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I feel like it gives you a sense of how they are when they're actually at home, and you just kind of know what you're getting yourself into. If anything, if you don't like it, you can always walk out.
Okay. Do you think cohabiting can have either a positive or negative effect on a relationship, and how so?
I think it has a positive aspect to it, because that way you guys can learn to compromise, really, because a relationship is about compromising.
Have you or do you ever plan on cohabiting with your partner? Why or why not?
Eventually, yes, because I'm going to be living with that person. I don't want them to end up hating me because I'm being selfish.
Do you think cohabiting before marriage can affect the length or success of a marriage? In what ways?
I feel like it depends on the relationship. If it's a good relationship, I feel like they'll last forever. If it's like not meant to be, then they'll grow tired of that person and eventually cut it off and get a divorce.